Now.
I don't think John is down with gangsta.
We're live again, everybody. We're back.
Live!
Somehow, some way. Hopefully on Facebook Live as also. I'm really not sure. This is kind of all an experiment. And most of the time, our experiments don't go well. But still, we're trying.
I'm going to go to it right now just to check.
Please do, Pete.
Yeah, please do. Pete Milano,
Yeah,
guest of the night.
Our guest. How are you doing, buddy?
Why did I'm doing okay, but for some reason I clicked make a new account.
Well,
I've been up for a while.
See, Pete's on Skype on a phone and on a phone. This is Pete Milano, everybody.
Yeah, right? This is the story of my life.
Yep. No, Pete, most arm wrestlers probably don't know who you are anymore.
This is true. I've been away so long, that's perfect. And I don't see a live thing on your page.
What?
Let us worry about that.
I don't believe you,
It
Pete.
says live. Well, unless Facebook Live doesn't work in the browser. And I got to use the damn Facebook app, which is using the other phone, and I'm not going. Somebody's got to check it.
Yeah, I'll check it right now. So what's going on,
Yeah,
Pete?
I'm not on
What are you doing tonight?
I'm chilling, not being on your payroll, so I'm not checking your Facebook Live.
Okay. Hey, it's working, everybody.
All right.
That's us live on live. That's pretty cool.
That's really cool. Yeah, see, that's how awesome we are. So hopefully you guys should be able to send in your comments fast, like bullets.
Before it crashes.
Dude, this is like it's an MC Escher painting right now, so you're totally freaking me out.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, like why are we talking to Pete Milano? Who's that guy?
You're my buddy, Pete.
Yes, a lot of people don't know that though. I tell you what though, a lot of people have been seeing my name pop up in their friend requests.
Weird. Why's that?
Well, because let's see, 8 years ago I walked away and deleted all my friends.
Not
And
me.
then something came up and I said, sugar. I had to get a bunch of arm wrestlers back on my Facebook page in case I decided to do something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I had the friend request. I don't know. So many people just keep accepting the request, which is still shocking to me. like I got Jason Vale accepted my friend request. I've known Jason Vale for, I don't know, 14 years.
Right.
And he accepted my friend request today. So now me and Jason Vale are friends today.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Did he send you a set of straps?
No. He just accepted the request and moved on.
That was a joke. I guess that went right over your head. There.
Well, Josh, I don't know if you know about Pete. He knows the straps quite well, too.
Oh, does he? Okay, so that even makes more sense then.
Wow. There's other things Jason could have sent me that I know all too well. Some salad dressing.
Oh,
You know.
no.
Oh, God.
So, Peter,
Yes.
why don't you tell our viewing audience exactly who you were and are in the world of arm wrestling, since I think John is right. There's a number of people out there that may not have been around long enough to appreciate the enormity of Pete Milano.
Oh, God. Well, if you didn't listen to my 2-hour show with Craig Souble, I'll fill you in with the quick recap. I started in 2001 with a man by the name of James Rederides.
What's up, James? I'm sure he's watching.
And me and him kind of, to be honest, me and him didn't even hit it off. I want to say it went about 8 straight months of this little guy trying to tell my fat ass how to arm wrestle, and I wasn't having it. And then finally I learned, shit, man, I got to listen to this guy, otherwise I'm going to keep getting my ass kicked. So we got past that, or I got past it. He was fine with it. I got past it. I started listening. And then things kind of rolled on, and I started winning some trophies and making a name for myself. And then in May of '05, it was myself, Tim Bresnan, and the late Reggie Ward, and we were at the Big Apple Grapple.
Mm-hmm.
And the three of us dominated the class and each other, and I ended up walking out of there with a torn long head bicep tendon. So basically the top portion of my bicep ripped right out of my rotator cuff, rolled down my arm, and it looked like I had a bicep as big as Marcio. we all knew it wasn't true. So apparently something was wrong. So I was like, all right, well, and went to the doctors. They tried to, they did the best they could to fix it, and then I sat down with the doctor and we discussed me getting back into competition, and he was like, no, it's never going to work the same. And I was like, well, that really sucks.
Yeah.
So now what the hell do I do? So I sat around for probably 2-3 months in the summertime with my arm in a sling, thinking how I'm never going to be able to do this again. Now what the hell do I do? Because at that time I was like, it was life.
Right.
I would have called out of work to go to an arm wrestling tournament that time in my life. I mean, that's all I could think about. So I called James up and I said, I got an idea. I said, what if we start running our own tournaments? And he goes, yeah, I did it once. I didn't like it. I said, yeah, I know you did it once, but we're going to do something a little different. I said, first thing we're going to do is we're going to find out everything everybody hates about today's tournaments. And we're going to put together what they like and what they dislike. And we're going to change it a little bit. And then I saw some old videos. Well, they weren't that old. They're old now, but they were like a year or two old of Mike Solaris pulling Craig Touye at Travis's.
Get a
one
grip,
of Travis's. Yeah, one of those tournaments down there. And I was like, what? And so I had to talk to James about it. I said, what if we take that and a tournament, but we make it like a whole event? Where like we'll have a couple of left-handed matches and then the left-handed tournament, and a couple of right-handed matches and then the right-handed tournament, and then we'll just have like one big blowout at the end. And he goes, all right. So we came up with a set of rules that are pretty much WAF rules with a couple of tweaks. And we ran with it. And then it became like a huge thing. It was the Northeastern Arm Wrestling Challenge series of events. There was actually 8 of them. 8 of them in the Northeast and 1 in the Southeast. And we had, to be honest with you, I can't even name an arm wrestler that we probably didn't have except for Richard Lupkus.
Yeah.
And that's only because he came back right at the time we were finishing.
Mm.
So, but we had everybody. Harold Owens, John Brezink,
Devin.
Dave Randall, Devin Lorette, Ron Bath, Don Underwood, Mike Gould, Dave Chafee before Dave Chafee is who he is now. We had Dave Chafee. Geez. Probably had Dave Chafee in about 4 different matchups.
Yeah.
I mean, it was ridiculous. Simon Barry Ochoa, Tony Katowski, Jeremy Hurst, Chris Gabi before anybody knew who Chris Gabi was. I mean, it was just ridiculous amounts. But we kicked it off with that infamous Travis versus Jerry for $15,000, and I mean, that was like we set the world on fire with that thing, and it gave everybody kind of an idea of what tournaments could be like, for your everyday arm wrestler. They go to a tournament, but it's like you go to a tournament and you watch tournaments, and it's like it's always the arm wrestlers watching the tournament.
Right.
Like, those are your spectators. Well, if you bring a show where you have like a combination of both, now you've got the arm wrestlers. They get to arm wrestle, win some nice trophies, and we gave away nice trophies too. We gave away like sculptures and jackets, and not even like the cheap jackets. We gave away Letterman jackets. I mean, I think they were like $200 a jacket.
Right.
And we did all that, and then like we noticed that more and more people that didn't even know about arm wrestling were watching, and we ended up filling the places that we were doing it. Of course, they were in bars because that's all anybody knows how to do is arm wrestle in a bar. So yeah, we would pack these bars. People would be peeking in through the windows outside. I mean, it was ridiculous. We had to have security on the stage because people were just trying to get on stages, and I mean, it was insane. And we did that, from 2005 to, I think the last one was either 2010 or 2011, but at that time it had faded, mostly because all these copycats were coming out, and they were doing it, and it wasn't the same. I mean, they were putting up, I'm all about the grassroots guys, being spotlighted.
Yep.
But they were putting up guys that were like, nobody even knew who they were. It's like my cousin Bob against my Uncle Joe. It's like nobody even knows these people. And they were calling them super matches, which we never did. We called all of ours challenge matches because it was one guy challenging the other.
Mm-hmm.
And before you knew it, everybody was having super matches. And then, some idiot out in California came up with Ultimate Arm Wrestling League, and that didn't make it, but we all knew that. And whatever, he's a jerk anyway. And then, he tried to run the world. And, it was just, the whole sport was going, like, nowhere fast. So it was like, you know what, I'm tired of this. Let's try and think of something else. So that's when I came up with that crazy idea of doing tournaments where one table starts in a hook and the other table starts in straps.
Right.
And we did 2 of those. I did 2 of those with Travis. And it was a neat idea that never took off. People showed up, but it never really had like a good enough following to just say, oh yeah, I'm going to keep doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, like I said, you had idiots in the, stealing the idea of what we were doing or just doing a horrible impression of it. And then you had the other guys who had all the money, like Robert Dranks. He had the money, so he was trying to do the same thing. And it just got harder because everybody was like, oh, well, if you pay for my room, my flight, my meal, my wife to come out and get her nails done and her hair did, and I'm just like, what the hell, man? What happened to arm wrestling?
Yeah, it gets tough when someone has money, and that's where the poll goes, right?
Oh, yeah, but it's like, I'm asking grassroots guys. None of these guys are celebrities. Robert Drank could put them on a postcard and put them in a jersey and put their name on it, and you're still not like a celebrity. You're just, you're this guy from here.
Sure.
I don't want to name because I'll make fun of all my friends. But no, not even so much like an up and comer. No, decent arm wrestlers.
Right.
Before they became television icons with that one show that lasted a season. But they became icons from TV, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. It's just ridiculous.
And was that that was the tournament with the with Travis and Jerry? Was that your first tournament you guys did?
Yeah, it was the first tournament I ever threw in my life.
Wow.
And that was the first tournament that me and James put on together. And we did it with I think we only had like $1,500 from the venue.
Wow.
And we put
how did you raise the $15,000 then?
Oh, that was very simple. Travis called Jerry, because this is back in the day when arm wrestlers used to spend money. Travis called Jerry and said, I'll whoop your ass and I'll give you 2-to-1 on the money. So Travis had a backer for $10,000. Jerry had a backer for $5,000. They needed a place to have the match.
I see.
So with Jerry being the hometown guy up here and us kind of coming up with this idea to have a tournament, it kind of just happened. It fell right in our lap, and we benefited from that timing. And so we organized it. I went on another show called Arm TV Radio that's no longer around. Yep. And we just blew it up that way. Arm TV Radio, Arm TV at the venue. We had Savan Matosian, who still was filming for Pullin' John at the time.
Right.
And, it just happened. and it was like Jerry hadn't pulled locally in probably 3-4 years. Travis was king at that time because he had just beaten everybody at Worlds. So it was like perfect.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Peter. So you're looking at stuff now like WAL. You mentioned being on TV and Game of Arms show. What is it about WAL that you think is like? I mean, I know you said it's getting worse and worse. What is it about that show that makes you feel like it's doing harm to the sport?
Well, I think what it's doing is it's not so much that it's doing harm for the sport, but it's doing harm for more of the grassroots. I mean, it's great to see guys winning money. It's great to see guys, that I've known for years getting recognized and being on TV. But it makes other things really hard to do. Like, I mean, like they just did a highlight clip the other night. What was it, last night? Did you see any of the amateurs? Because I didn't.
No.
I saw the same matches I've already seen tuning into all the shows. So they just took all the great matches of all the same people that always seem to win the money, and we watched a highlight clip of that.
Sure.
We didn't see
we saw that show. I saw that show last night, and I agree. I was a little disappointed that they didn't highlight some of the matches that didn't get previously broadcast. We were training last night. I was training with Rob Vidgen and Eric Roussin and Warren Hubbard and Duke and some other guys, and we stopped to watch the show for a few minutes, but then we moved on. But so you're right about that show. That was not the best way to have they should have had highlights of things that they hadn't shown them previously. But that being said, you do have to. I mean, it is the largest audience that we've had for arm wrestling in our lifetime. Other than actually, I don't even know how many people went to actually see Over the Top. I don't know if it was like a couple dozen or what, because I feel like it was Stallone's least successful
there was a lot
movie.
of people that saw Over the Top, and there was a lot of people that. Well, I mean, if you go back, because I used, like I said, I used to live arm wrestling. If you go back to the Petaluma wrist wrestling days, ABC Wide World Sports, a lot of people watched that. That was like a thing.
Yeah.
So sure. I mean, the WAL ain't doing anything different except they're putting up a lot more money, and I'm not even too sure about that. They might be almost equal money.
Yeah, adjust for inflation, sure.
Yeah, so
I don't know. It's 1 million people a week watching arm wrestling. It's not a bad thing.
Oh, it's definitely not a bad thing. And if anything, now, like I had this conversation with Tony Katowski, now is the best time ever for people to go out and support grassroots arm wrestling for generations to come.
Right.
Because not everybody's going to be Devin Lorette out the gate. Not everybody's going to be a Tony Katowski or a Dave Chafee or a Travis Bajet out of the gates. Mm-hmm. You've got to get there. I mean, right now is like the best time for grassroots arm wrestling and for those second and third level arm wrestlers to step away from the, you got to pay this or you got to pay that. No, you got to put in your dues. I mean, I've already contacted arm wrestlers because I've got something in the works right now, and some of the arm wrestlers, I'm like, okay, I'll give you that. You've put in your time. Like when I called Tony Katowski and he's like, well, this, that, and the other thing, and I'm like, you know what? I get it. You have earned that right to ask me for that. But then I call someone else and I'm like, hey, yeah, well, I need at least. You need at least what? What have you done?
No, I get you.
You won a couple local events. You maybe beat like one person, 50 pounds lighter than you, and now all of a sudden you're gonna need this, that, and the other thing. No, man, you got to get out there and prove yourself. Last time we put it on an event, Tony Katowski came out here on his own dime and pulled Ron Klemba. He didn't ask me for a hotel. He didn't ask me for airfare. He didn't ask me for a beer at the bar. So, yeah, now with everything he's done, sure, he deserves a lot more now. But he's paid his dues.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I don't get some of these new arm wrestlers. You're not there yet. So I don't know how you can sit there and say, oh, well, I need this and I need that. I get the economy sucks. But I mean, if this is something you're passionate about, there's an investment, financial and physical investment in arm wrestling to get better.
Do you think social media's hurt that a little bit by making people think that, because they get a lot of attention, a lot of likes, that they think they deserve that kind of thing?
I don't know if social media has hurt or made superstars out of people that shouldn't be superstars. Well, yeah, I could say social media definitely has made superstars out of people that shouldn't be. But I don't think it's hurt arm wrestlers becoming real arm wrestlers. I think what has hurt is I think it's hurt local tournaments, because, I mean, local tournaments don't get as much as they should from, further away arm wrestlers. I mean, I remember we used to jump in the car and drive 6 hours to Maryland.
Oh, yeah.
Now, to get Maryland arm wrestlers to Connecticut, shit. You got to be paying somebody something, or somebody's got to be in a challenge match for $1,000 that you put up, and holy cow.
I think one of the reasons for that is because the stakes are higher, so a lot of people are saving themselves for the WAL regional, that kind of stuff. Some people are doing the, American Arm Fighter, hoping that turns out to be, a true pathway to vendetta. But aside from that, there's also a ton of local tournaments right now. I mean, I've noticed that over the last year and a half that it almost seems like there's, like, for example, October 8th up here, we have Travis putting on a tournament the same day as the Ronnie Bean Classic, which is unfortunate because they should be at separate dates, especially because Ronnie Bean Classic's been around a long time. But, I mean, I understand that sometimes scheduling, it doesn't work out the way you want it to. But the fact is, it's two serious, legit tournaments happening in the same time up there. And we have at least one significant tournament up here in the 6-state region every month. And, I mean, that seems to be true all around the country right now. So it is, I think that makes it harder for people to validate, traveling, 1,000 miles. Yeah, and like you said, Peter, paying out of their own pocket and such. It's a little bit harder to validate.
See, and how you're looking at it is how everybody else is looking at it, and that problem has been around.
Yeah.
That problem has been around since before I was even doing tournaments. That problem's been around. When I was arm wrestling, you could have hit any tournament within an 8-hour radius every week. There was always a tournament.
Yeah.
And it's always been like that. So there's not really much you can do about that. It's just now I think I almost want to say, with the way things are going with like the WAL having the regionals and that ruins everybody's chances of throwing a tournament around a WA regional, because everybody wants to try and qualify for that.
Sure.
But then you have too many people trying to put on, just a regular event that really isn't even doing much or doesn't qualify for anything, but is for grassroots arm wrestling. But there's too many people doing it. Just like there was before, but now it's like, because of the exposure of arm wrestling, now everybody's putting on tournaments.
Right, and It's not like there's 10,000 new arm wrestlers out there.
No, exactly. I mean, you might have gained maybe 100 across the country.
Yeah, maybe.
From TV shows and everything else, but you still got 25 people in one region trying to get the same $5.
Yeah.
And they're killing each other for it, or they're talking smack about each other for it, or they're. I mean, it's been going on for years.
Let's take that point for a second. Like New England Championships, which we're having up here November 5th. Like it took a couple of years, but all 6 states are doing it together. So everybody's not holding a tournament 2 weeks before and after, and we're all like agreeing on the weight classes and if we're gonna have super matches and the rules and all that kind of stuff. So it can be done. It does take some groundwork, but I mean, to me, the fact that there's a resurgence in the sport, at least electronically, because I do think you're right, Peter. I don't think there's been a massive increase in the number of people that arm wrestle, but at least electronically, there's a resurgence. So there's renewed interest in bars and casinos, etc. Are more interested in hosting because they see it back on TV and they want to get a piece of the ESPN pie or what have you. So they're more likely to say yes. But I mean, the collaboration I mean, like New England, for example, there's all kinds of stuff people arguing about this and that with various states, but it really ended up being somewhat petty, and nobody really cared. So once we all started getting everybody excited about the idea of having a big tournament, they were like, all right, let's do it. And I think it's probably similar to, I mean, I'm sure there's exceptions to people that truly do hate each other in other parts of the country, but most of the time it's just, no one's really tried to do it. And if you put the legwork in, I mean, I think everybody always says this, that arm wrestling is a pretty good family. It's a tightly knit community, and although we do have people that hate each other, as I said, most of us get along. So we want to do big tournaments. We want to be part of it. We want to be, doing something that's significant, that's going to create memories and get 300 people entering and all that kind of stuff. And that's something you used to do, Peter. So I mean, for me, my question for you is like, let's do it again, man. Get that same kind of excitement you used to have. I mean, I think that it's needed, So I would like to see you put on some badass tournaments again.
Well, I mean, like I said, that's definitely in the works. I mean, that's part of the reason why I came on the show. But I do, before I say anything about that, I do want to say I went to that New England's last year. A++. I fucking loved it. I loved it because, I mean, for me, it was like, it was nice to see a lot of the new faces, but it was really, really nice to see all the old faces that I remember.
Sure.
I mean, I saw so many people, and I was just like, wow, they're still, they're here. They're still here. And it was so nice. I mean, the tournament ran like flawlessly. I mean, I don't understand why you needed 3 tables, but Jesus Christ.
That's why it ran flawlessly, man. We got everybody in and out of there in 4.5 hours, and they could go enjoy the casino.
But I mean, I was thoroughly impressed with that event. I was happy to see something like that because I mean, before that, because I never considered my event like big for arm wrestlers. Mm-hmm. I considered it more of an event for the arm wrestling spectator. I'm happy with 90, 100 entries. I'm happy.
Right.
Because that's perfect. That's the perfect number for it. But something like what you were doing, 150, 200 arm wrestlers or entries, oh, that's beautiful. I would have been happy if it was like 400. Because those type of events, I mean, those remind me of the old Can-Am days.
Yeah, like, that's what it felt like.
The old Can-Am days. Not like when it started to fizzle out at the end, but like the old Can-Am days. I remember showing up to my first Can-Am and going, there's 15 guys in my class. And I'm in the supers. When the hell does that happen?
Right.
I mean, I remember in 07, I think it was 07. I don't know. Whichever one is the picture that you guys use for this promo. That Can-Am's, there was 17 guys in my weight class. And I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me. Because, I mean, I was pulling the challenge match, and then I was pulling the tournament. And I'm like, really? 17 freaking guys? Please let Timmy get rid of most of the tough ones. I really... So, there's a funny story for you. So I literally just finished pulling my challenge match.
With Paul Maiden.
Immediately after. Yeah, with Paul Maiden. Immediately after, we're going to start with the supers. And they call me up with the first match, and they're like, okay, it's Pete Milano versus Max Maxwell. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You might as well give me Tim. It don't matter right now. My arm is shot. I just finished this challenge match. Like, I didn't even get a drink of water or nothing. And I'm looking at Max, and they said go, and I just let my arm go. And Max looks at me like, are you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm just exhausted, man. I'll be back later.
Yeah, and that wasn't a 230-pound Max that we see today. That was probably 300-pound Max.
Yeah, he was big. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, yeah, I'll start from the B side. I don't give a shit. I need a break. It's not even like I was like the second match or the third match in. I was the first match on deck. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is retarded. But whatever, But those days were awesome. I mean, me and Timmy would go up there, and we even got Reggie to come out for one, and we would just dominate those super heavyweight classes. And it was fun times. I mean, that tournament would go to like 8, 9 o'clock at night because there was so many people.
Right.
It would start at 2:30, and go to like 8, 9 o'clock easy.
Yeah, and it wasn't because they were boring long day. It was like it was just packed.
Yeah, I mean, you would see matches like, oh my God. Team New York would show up like Team New York. There'd be like 12, 13 people just from like the New York area. Then you'd have the upstate New York guys that would show up with like 10, 11 people.
Bad dudes too.
Yeah, it's like you got tournaments full of like Rob Sassos and Scott Latellas and Ray Darlings and Chris Myers
Benji
and Steve
Dwyer.
Blacks, Benji Dwyers and Dan Fortunas. I mean, these are Team New York guys. I'm not even naming any other state yet.
No.
Just these people would show up.
Kenny McKinney and all those guys.
Yeah, and you'd be like, fuck, man, that's just... And then Jersey would show up, and Jersey would be like 11, 12 guys strong. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, man. Then PA would show up, and you'd have Androvic, and it's like, what the fuck? It's just... It was insane. It was insane. Because then you still had, like, Mass, New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, Connecticut, and you're like, how long is this tournament going to take? But those were the good times, man, and that's what that New England's tournament that you guys put on. That's what it reminded me of. Those times.
Yeah, it'll be even better this year. I mean, I think a lot of people were standing in the background waiting to see if it was going to be the real deal. And now that the word is out about it, I think we're looking to have a lot more people this year. So should be pretty epic, man. I'm looking forward to it greatly.
Oh, see, the cops are here.
Oh boy.
No, sir, it's my daughter getting dropped off. That's okay. I'm going to make her go around the back of the house in the dark, because if she messes up this front door, like I got the whole thing set up in like a tripod.
Oh, is that what it is?
I think we should just start. We should start filming like a found footage horror film, because I feel like I'm kind of in that, with this like spooky light in the background and things happening.
Yeah.
Are we gonna see a
People keep sending messages. What's going on? Who's this guy I can't see? Is he like some kind of... Is like a secret person that doesn't want anybody to know who he is?
Yeah, we need to have like a voice filter like on the old crime shows. I used to run tournaments. Like. It was really fun.
Hey, go around to the back door. The light's on in the back, and just open this door, but don't touch this door.
Don't touch it.
That's a lot.
See, there's like stuff going on there.
You know I talk to my children. I'm such a mean prick. Nothing's going on.
We all know that, Pete. Why are you saying that like it's a surprise?
Yeah, right? Just open up this door, but not the screen door.
It's odd because you're getting so many comments online right now about your unrelenting positivity. It's hard to keep up with it.
My positivity? Wow.
That hurts Pete more than anything.
I know. It's like, wait a minute. I have to start being negative now.
Hey, alls I know is my work phone has not gone off once. And John will attest to this. That's a miracle.
It is. Yeah, we talked for almost an hour the other day just getting Skype set up. But it got set up in like 3 seconds, and then I'm like, Pete, I gotta go, dude.
So, Pete, you obviously have a lot of experience with Tim
see me now?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Look at that.
There it is. See, now it's all ruined. Now,
it's not as scary now. It's not as scary now. That's true.
Well, yeah, they turned on the lights in the house.
It's not so much Blair Witch. It's more like Happy Days. But that's all right. We can roll with that. So, Tim Bresnan, what do you think about him and a proposed match between him and Trubin? Do you think he has a chance?
That one is a mystery to me, because before Trubin pulled Pushkar, I would have said Trubin would have killed Timmy.
Yeah.
Now that Trubin pulled Pushkar, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, because it was like Trubin just outgassed and outpowered Michael Todd, and I thought to myself, well, he's got more gas than Timmy. He's probably as strong as Timmy. If that one gets stuck, Timmy's, you got to remember, Timmy's realistically like, I don't know, 50, 51. He's up there. Mm-hmm. Arm-wise, Timmy's like 106. So, no, that's being honest, because I'm telling you, arm wrestling, you age fast arm wrestling.
Sure.
I haven't competed in 8 years. I woke up this morning to 56 degrees outside, and my wrist felt like it was broken. And I don't even compete anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem.
Well, no, that's not a problem. That's good. I can't compete. It just doesn't work. We tried. Or like when I was getting Timmy ready for Alexi.
Yeah, I remember you were out there training with us for a little while.
Yeah, that took like 3 months to recoup. With all the stuff that I have to deal with on a daily basis, it took too long to recoup that I could actually think about coming back to arm wrestling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It just wouldn't work. I don't have the time to just put into recovery. I don't have that time. And not that I have a strenuous job. It's literally on my phone all day, but it's just the time to sit there and not, be on the phone like, ow, I'm sorry, what were you saying? Ow. I can't do that. And then I can't move as it is now because of all my problems, but like I can't move because of arm wrestling too. That wasn't going to work. So that's why I didn't bother. I tried. No good.
So do you think, so to answer the question, you think that you think, I don't know. I'm thinking about what I think about it, and I feel like Tim gets underestimated a lot, but sometimes you can also overestimate somebody, and I don't know if. I guess I just feel like I'm thinking about the match with Marcio and Tim that just happened, where Tim lost that one, but it was WAL start, and Tim definitely doesn't like that particular start. I don't think necessarily it suits his style as much as it does Marcio.
Well, I talked to Tim a lot. Big time
false start,
and I talked to Tim a lot, and I know why he doesn't like the WAL starts. Not that he won't do them, but I know why he doesn't like them. It's like 50% comfort, and then the other 50% is, a lot of people don't know all the problems Tim has, right, like physically.
Mm-hmm.
So he's only capable of doing so much. So if and I know what the agreement was going into it, and I heard all the drama about things getting switched.
Mm-hmm.
But if Tim's prepared for something, that's it. That's what Tim is prepared for, because he can only do so much physically.
Yep.
I'm not trying to make excuses for Tim. I just know
no, of course not,
how bad the situation is with Tim. Because, I've known Tim since Tim started arm wrestling, like doing real arm wrestling and not county fair arm wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know Tim is not an excuse maker. I know Tim from when everything was firing right. And I know the man now who is just not the man he used to be on a day-to-day basis. Mm-hmm. So when you go and you agree to something and then out of nowhere something gets changed, adjustments can't be made for Tim.
Right.
It's a lot harder for Tim to make all those adjustments than it is for anybody at any age, because of all the things he has to deal with. He can't hear.
Right.
I know this for a fact because it takes 3 days for him to return a phone call. No, but seriously, like he'll just be standing next to me, not looking at me, but standing next to me. And I'll say, "Where's your neck?" or something, and he no response. Whereas before, I'd get shut up peckerhead or something.
Right.
So, yeah, it's real bad. I see the side of his face sloping. What he's gone through is like really, really, really tough. And the fact that he gets up there and smashes people still just, I'm like, I'm sitting here making excuses about how I can't do all these things, but I give it to him, man. He impresses the shit out of me. I'm proud of him. I'm happy to say I can call him my friend.
Mm-hmm.
And, ha to everybody that doesn't live 7 minutes down the road from Tim Breslin.
Yeah, because, like you said, adjustments can't be made, that kind of thing. Something that I think Tim is still getting used to also is how much recovery and rest he needs in between big matches. And how much that does take out of him when he prepares and rests and then pulls, say, Voda, and how much time he really needs to kind of come down and rebuild and kind of just recoup before he can really take on something big again. And, we all know what our bodies are capable of, and we go through something like as serious as what Tim went through. The learning curve on that's got to be incredible. And it's only 2 years ago he went through that.
No, I know. And, the guy goes through a lot. Believe me when I tell you guys. I'm not going to air Timmy's laundry on your show.
No, he explained a lot of it on a show already.
Yeah, I know. I watched that episode, and he said he thanked me for helping him with Alexi. That was nice too.
Mm-hmm.
It hurt like a bitch though. But
I know. I remember you being there, and I pinned you in a hook, and I'm like, Pete, you all right, dude?
But yeah, I mean, Jesus, people don't understand how strong that guy is. And I mean, yeah, okay, maybe I feel kind of strong, out of the gate, fresh. But after about 20 minutes of Tim Breslin banging on your arm in every which direction you can go, it's like, ow, ow.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, Timmy's recovery time is just, it's gotten a lot worse. And I know that was one thing he kept, I'll use the word complaining about to me, was the whole PAL thing that happened to him where it was supposed to be he was pulling in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And then they moved it to Vegas at a later date, which happened to give him less recovery time for Marcio. Like I said, not to make any excuses, but for a man in his position, that plays a big factor. I've seen Timmy pull Marcio. I told Dave Chafee I thought that match was boring because I've seen Timmy just beat Marcio all the time. Nothing against Marcio, great arm wrestler, but they've always, once Tim got to a certain point, Timmy's always been able to beat Marcio. So that's why I was kind of like, Tim pulling Marcio is kind of boring. But now you factor in all these other things, and it's like, oh, well, now it might be a little interesting. And it ended up being like lopsided after a while because I was, what the hell is this? But, those are those WAO rules, WAO refs. I don't even know what certifies them, but, I like stuff.
I do think that particular start is not, considering all the different things that Tim's going through, first of all, it's amazing that he is still as dominant as he is on the world stage. But I do think that WAL people really can get away with a lot of false starts and early carving. That's not necessarily something that's going to help Tim rather than having a truly fair start. And I think you're absolutely right about the recovery time. And it does get worse for us as we get older, and even more so for super heavyweights. If you look at Dave Chafee after the WAL, he's actually said he's not arm wrestling for a while because he feels injured on both sides. With the Travis Bagent rematch, it didn't go well. So, I don't know. Sometimes people say super heavyweights take a lot longer to recover, and I think that there's some probably scientific background or backup for that based on the capillary damage that we do arm wrestling and the micro tears in your muscle. If you have a much bigger muscle and that many more capillaries and ventrioles that are getting exploded.
Well, yeah, and I'll agree with that. Well, partly because I'm a big guy, but I'll agree with that just on the simplicity of it. The bigger guy takes longer to do everything.
Right.
So, it takes him longer to recover because he's bigger. I get that. And I would definitely believe in that. Simple math, I guess. More is harder to fill. Bigger gas tank, you got to put more gas in it. Small little smart car that takes 2 drips and runs for 400 miles. Yeah, John Brown his thumbs.
Yeah, and you also have to...
I tell you what, Josh Grant better give himself some thumbs too, because I watched him at that Rhode Island tournament. I swear to God, I think he entered every class, including ones he didn't make weight for. Because he was always up at the table. Yeah, Josh was always on that table.
How many classes do you pull in that?
I pulled, I had the super match ready, and then I pulled 5 classes other than that. So.
Oh, nice. Me too. Me too.
So, with the turnout of 20, yeah, he was pretty much in every class.
I know. That's right. That's why I did it, because I was like, I'm not going to arm wrestle twice and go home, so let's just enter all these classes. Yeah, John did too. We had a couple hand control worldwide grudge matches there. That was fun.
Yeah,
it was fun having you reffing too, Pete. That was fun. The whole day was a lot of fun. Even though we made a lot out of that tournament. There were different things that went on, and American Arm Fighter had a couple things go on that made it harder for them to run it. So it was nice that we had a whole crew of people that were willing and able to do that, because we definitely, I thought I had a lot of fun that day.
It was fun. It was fun. Yeah, that was for sure.
Yeah, and for anyone that has ever been to a tournament where I have reffed, they know full well I am the worst ref in the world. I am the best practice table ref. I'm the worst tournament ref. Because I will make fun of every arm wrestler that comes up there. I will block.
He was making fun of me the whole time.
I will physically block the entire spectator's view if I stand up. I mean, I'm just the worst for it. I'm the worst.
It was the time you told Gabe Accardi to go when you weren't the head ref, and so Gabe went on Jake Charles, and then you're going to say, no, I wasn't talking to you.
Yeah. I said the wrong word. I should have said something else.
It was very funny, though.
I remember doing a tournament in Indianapolis with Travis, and he brings like this little like cushy, springy stool thing to me. And he's like, listen, you're going to sit your fat ass on this thing because nobody can see if you're standing up. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And it was so funny, too, because later on in talking back about Game of Arms, later on in the season, I saw one of the clips from one of my events. Actually, I've seen several clips from my events, which they never asked me for permission, but that's okay. I saw one of my clips that I was actually in, and I was blurred out. And I'm like, son of a bitch, I'm in Game of Arms. But kinda. Well, it's funny too because I was originally called for that, and I wasn't arm wrestling at the time, so I was like, nah. And then they were interested in somebody else, and I said, you know what? If that person doesn't do it, I'll give it a second thought. And then they ended up going with Mike Aiello, which was not even one of the people that they were talking about originally. And I was like, oh, well, good for Mike, you know? Mm-hmm. I mean, there was no way I was going to be able to even get ready for the show. And knowing what I know now, just trying to help Tim, that would have been the worst mistake of my life to get on that show. For me, not for the show, but for me, my physical self.
Right.
That's horrible.
Yeah, that'd been tough. Huh?
I personally hope they bring that show back. I enjoyed that show, even though it was ridiculous, like arm wrestling in an abattoir and all that kind of stuff. But it was still fun to watch.
It was, but it should have been done a lot differently. I mean, they kind of gave a lot of people the impression that, that we all go to meet in these places and we always have matches that are best of whatevers and
with different team versus teams.
Club.
Yeah, and it's team versus team. Yeah, it had a very Fight Club-esque look to it and feel to it. And I mean, I never remember ever arm wrestling in a meat factory. I do remember arm wrestling in a hay bin at a fair. But that was probably the most obscure place I ever arm wrestled at.
Yeah, and that's no meat locker.
No, it's no meat locker. Yeah, definitely not no meat locker. And I don't ever remember training my my arm wrestling skills pulling two dopey guys on a sled either. But I don't know what.
You didn't do that?
No, I don't ever remember. Like James and Timmy sitting in a sled and me trying to lock out my bicep to train my lock or my back pressure or show my kids how to ride a sled.
Could you imagine the ball busting that Tim would have given you if you tried to do that? If you had suggested that?
I'm already imagining the ball busting he's going to give me after he hears this.
Right.
Because he's going to say so many things. It's going to be ridiculous. Ridiculous. I'm going to have to not call him for like a week. That'll be easy because if I called him, it'll take him a week to get back to me because he won't hear the phone ring anyway.
Well, yeah, he's better with text these days.
No, he's not because he never hears that thing go off either. He's only good at texting if he starts the conversation because then the phone's in his hand.
Right.
If the phone's not in his hand, like I'll text him and 2 days will go by and I'll know he's had to at least looked at that phone once. Oh, I didn't see it. Well, use the good eye. I almost feel like I'm talking to Christian Binney. Use your good eye and look at my text. Now, see, I'm going to get my balls broken by Christian Binney, too.
Yeah, that's on now.
But, what are you going to do?
The real friends of arm wrestling, that's what that is.
Yeah, seriously. And I mean, I'll always have that, the good ones. And it's funny because, you take 8 years off, and like you said, a lot of people don't know who I am, but a lot of the ones they look up to know who I am. And a lot of those people still talk to me, so that's always nice.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think with people who are serious about the sport, I think they always will know, that kind of group. To be honest with you, because that was, like you said, you guys would go to tournaments and you kind of run, you kind of dominate the class. Like that time period, at least in the Northeast, was phenomenal just for arm wrestling. Period. And I came in at the end of that. And even when I came in at the end of it, it was pretty great. And I can't imagine what it was like a few years before that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And it was so funny because me and Reggie never really traveled, but Tim would go out and beat everybody. Like, he'd go to Tahoe's and all these different tournaments, and he would beat, like when he went out and he beat John for the first time, and it was like, who's this guy? And me and Reggie are like, fucking Tim beat John. What the fuck? Look at that shit. But I mean, Timmy would go out and pull everybody. I think he went up to Canada against my wishes, because I said don't do it.
Oh shit.
He went up to Canada and pulled Devin Lorette for the first time and lost.
Yep. And
it was like right around the time after he had just beaten John, so Timmy was kind of on a high. And then Devin brought him back down, and I said, you should have never went up there. I think a lot of Timmy's career, he never listened to me. And then when he did the right thing.
It's official.
But, yeah. Like when he got stuck in a hook with Mike Bowling, I said, you never hook Mike Bowling. And what happened? Popped his arm from the forearm up. And they had to go in and reattach that and mess up his fancy tattoo. But, when he doesn't listen, it's when he listens that matters, I guess.
So you were saying basically you came on the show for kind of a specific reason.
Oh, yeah. So it just so happened I had a conversation with a gentleman from a company called Connecticut Power Fit Expo.
Dan Jenkins.
And we got to talking, and ironically enough, the business that I'm in, I meet a lot of people. Well, he had told me that his partner would be there that day, and that he would like to, for me to meet his partner and talk to him and discuss what, we could put together. And so I see this guy standing next to Dan, and I'm like, I know that guy from somewhere. So he's talking, and he's like, this is my partner, Joe. And his partner goes, hey, I know you. And I'm like, oh, yeah, he's the guy I set up to, I don't know if I could say this on your show. I showed him how to watch newer movies.
Oh.
So,
in the theater.
Yes. And no, I would help his whole family out. They weren't even like my customers. It happened at my job, but they weren't even like, I don't even think they were my customers. But he would frequent around my area so much that I ended up helping him out and helping his kids out with their phones. So it just became a thing. So it was like, oh yeah, I already know you. So yay. It like helped me get in easier with them guys. So yeah, we got to talking, and I felt kind of bad for the situation he was put in. And I explained to him. I said, I think it can be better. And I think if you really want to, I it's against all that I believe in. It's nothing I really ever wanted to do. But I said, I'll do it. So we got together and we talked. And what is the date of your tournament, Josh?
November 5th.
Oh, perfect. So, yeah, so it is 2 weeks after your event. It'll be November 19th, which is the 11-year anniversary of me actually putting on tournaments.
Is it really the same day?
Same day. Saturday, November 19th, 2005, I put on my first event. So Saturday, November 19th, 2016, I'm coming back with the same style of event. It'll be a Northeastern Arm Wrestling Association Northeastern Arm Wrestling Challenge 9 at Mohegan Sun.
Really?
Cool.
So, yeah, man, people need to mark their calendars because that's going to be a nice little nice little return. I think even the poster is saying Northeastern Arm Wrestling Challenge 9, the return. I think that's what we named the tournament. It was kind of gitchy, but the difference this time is because of who I work for. The Northeastern Arm Wrestling Challenge 9 will be powered by Cricket Wireless.
Oh, really?
So I got Cricket Wireless because I work for Cricket Wireless. So I got Cricket Wireless as one of the main sponsors of the event. They'll be there. They'll be doing their thing. Hopefully, handing out some goodies. And we've even given them, or Dan actually gave them permission to, do activations on site and try to save people money on their cell phone service. So I mean, it's like a whole lot of things all thrown into real fast. I mean, to get Cricket Wireless to be able to show up and put in their 2 cents and then it was kind of funny because I had to send out a text to all the original staff members because I guess we technically have a staff. We ran a staff. We had 4 refs and 2 bracket people and an announcer that I have to add that the WAL and the PAL do steal or hire. I'll say hire because they pay them. But so I had to tell them that we were getting the band back together. Because I gotta say that to James because we're always quoting movies. He does it way more than I do.
Yeah.
But it was like we're getting the band back together.
I was gonna ask. My only real question, Pete, was if Mr. James Rodriguez was coming back.
Oh, of course, I can't do it without him.
I figured.
Yeah, if he was like, nah, I can't, man. I'd be like, you know what, Dan, I can't do it because there's no way. Because I mean, I'll put in 150% of the legwork from now until November 19th at probably 10 a.m. Maybe I'll go as far as like 12:30, quarter to 1. But at 1 o'clock when that thing starts, I wipe my hands clean. It's all my staff. They've perfected it. They know how to run it. I walk away and I let them do their thing. So yeah, I can't ever take 100% credit for how well those tournaments are. Recruiting talent, trying to get people to show up, setting up challenge matches. I'll take a credit for that. Not all of that either, because like I said, even in the first one, somebody else came to me with the headline match. James, the bracket people, the refs, that's it. They run it all. I don't do none of that.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'll go and get water if they're thirsty.
That's nice
of you.
Yeah, but that's probably the extent of my work on that day. I'll go get water, get someone a chair if they need a break. I mean, it's funny, too, because, like James will call me to the booth and he'll be like, hey, can we take a 15-minute break? We're just about done. Yeah, do whatever you got to do. I mean, there's been times I've told him no, too. Like, no, keep it going.
Right.
But, well, that was mostly because of the venue I had. They wanted us to go. But, who knows? Yeah, I think, what was it? I think our fastest tournament, I think it was either the second or the third one, and we actually got a complaint. And they said we ran it too fast. I think we got through 8 or 9 challenge matches completely done, and then right and left completely done handing out trophies. And they were like, yeah, that was way too fast. And
I like fast tournaments.
Yeah, but at the time, Yeah, at the time though, it was like every tournament was like 7-8 hours, and I think we broke like that 4.5 hour mark, and everybody was like, "That's way too fast." Like people were just like, "That's just too fast." Now,
I like to get them finished fast and let people go about their day, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the owners like it because there's business, right?
yeah, that's what it really was. It was like, the venues started getting pushy. We used to have till like 9 o'clock at night. Then it was like, oh, now we want you done by 8, and now can you get done by 7:30? And I mean, the way we ran our tournaments, which was another thing that nobody was doing. I don't know if they do it now, but because I don't pay attention. But we had a schedule of events, so everything was timed. So if you came into the tournament at 10 o'clock when weigh-ins start in the morning,
Yep.
and you were like, I don't care about challenge matches. I just want to pull right-handed. That's it. When is that starting? We could actually look at the program or the schedule that we had. I wouldn't call it a program, but the schedule, we would say, okay, right-handed, open class, be back at 4:30. And you bet your ass at 4:29, James was back on the mic. All right, we're going to start the right-handed. I mean, that's what we did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And at the time that we did it, nobody was even on that page yet.
I see.
Now everybody probably does it. Who knows? They probably watched all my videos and said, "How does this guy know when everything's going to start?"
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm looking forward to the November 19th tournament, Pete. I'm definitely going to be there because I'm not pulling in New England because I'll be trying to run it, and so I'll definitely be ready to go.
Oh, so yeah, we got to get you. We got to get you involved on that.
Yeah,
We
let's
definitely
do
got to
it.
get you involved on that. And another thing too, like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm Facebook friending everybody that. Well, I can't say everybody. I'm Facebook friending names I know. If I haven't Facebook friend requested you, I seriously don't know who the hell you are. So I'm not going to bother you.
I'm sure they're crying in
But,
their pillows right now.
No, I'm sure they're not. They're like, whatever, jerk off. Nobody cares about you. But no, anybody that's looking to settle anything, because like I said, we do grassroots. We don't do. I mean, we do big time guys too, but this is kind of like a start over for me. So the last tournament we did, we were able to give out money. Because we demanded so much money from the venue because they were making so much money. Now that we're starting over again, we're starting back at square one. So I'd love to say, hey, I don't know. I got to think of a name that I actually like. This is going to take a while.
I was just going to say.
No, like let's say, God. I'm trying to think of a name I actually know.
Oh, man. I don't know if you could pay him enough.
All right, no, okay, like let's say, all right, so here, I'll put some names out there. I contacted Tom Nelson. Tom Nelson has been to probably every single one, if not, he might have missed one NAA tournament in the history of all our tournaments.
Right.
So I called him up, and I said, I'm coming back, and I can't do, I got to have you. And he told me what's going on in his life, and I'm like, I completely understand. He's like, but if you buy me a plane ticket, and I'm just like, Tom deserves a plane ticket. Even if Tom never won a goddamn match in his life, because of my relationship with Tom, Tom deserves a plane ticket. I would love to say, hey, Tom, I bought your plane ticket. With the budget I have to start with, I can't say, hey, Tom, I bought you a plane ticket. So, because I was trying to get Tom and Christian to pull because, this way that match wouldn't be in the past, and they could talk about who actually lost this time.
Right.
But, yeah, so I tried doing that, and then, it got even worse when I talked to Christian because financially for him, it's even worse than Tom is. And I'm like, Jesus. Now, Christian has definitely been to every single one of them, except, of course, the one we had in the South, because we didn't buy him a plane ticket. I know he's going to bring it up. He was at every single one in the North. We never bought him a plane ticket for the one in the South. But, yeah, he needed a plane ticket. I don't think he needed a room because He's from here, so he would have found somebody to sleep with. But yeah, he needed the money too, and I just couldn't do it. But yeah, matches that I'm looking for matches. I've got some ideas. Some people will be getting phone calls because I actually have their phone numbers. That was another thing. I deleted like everybody's phone numbers. I mean, people like I knew. It was crazy. John Milne is upset that I haven't mentioned him once. John Milne will be there, hopefully with the rest of his Canadian crew. I don't know how I missed John Milne.
That's horrible.
Yeah. Well, I was on the phone with him.
You're already on. Oh, okay. Right. That's true. You already brought him up.
Yeah, I did. I said I was on the phone with him.
Oh, that might have been before the show, though.
Oh, that could have been. Yeah,
we did talk about you, John Milne. There's already one John on the show. So be confused.
Yeah. Well, no, I told him he was getting fat and he was losing his point figure. And this is the conversation we were having before the show started. I was telling him that he was getting fat. He was losing his porn star figure. I told him he needed to have a successor to the crown.
Oh, man.
Because it's nothing but a man whore. And so, I mean, we didn't. There you go, John. We covered you.
I guess we got to have Milne on now, Josh.
Yeah. There you go. John Milne's covered.
Call him up. We'll get him on next week.
Chris Gobby's his cohort. You know, he's another porn star that's getting fat.
Oh, shit.
And old.
Oh, no.
Yeah. They're both getting old and fat. But, no, there's some matches that I'm looking at. There's one match in particular I'm really interested in. So, it's the match that did not happen in Rhode Island. And would have made that whole tournament that much more fun. But I want Evan. I have no clue how to say his last name. So we'll call him Borgen. Evan Borgen from Canada versus Craig Souble. And the fucking loser shaving his beard. I want to have that match because that's kind of gitchy. I want to have that. So Craig better expect a phone call. Evan, you're going to hear it from John because I've already told John I want you to do it. We'll work out some of the details. If I have to reach into my pocket for that match, I will. But that's really the match I kind of want to see the most. Just because I'm really interested, and I definitely want to see someone shave the other guy's face. I've never seen it. I mean, I remember seeing it back in, like, you know, the WWF days, and I said WWF because that's the only time I remember seeing that crap.
Right.
Because I'm old, just like the rest of these guys. But I want to see something like that. I mean, they're both bald, and all they have is their beards. So let's have them go and shave their beards. And I mean, I'll make the trip cheap for Craig. I mean, he could fly into Providence. I'll pick him up. I'll pitch a tent in my yard. I don't know if I can have him sleep in my house because I think he's got like sleep apnea or some shit like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure how good a tent would be in November in Connecticut.
What are you talking about? It'd be 68 degrees and sunny. You wouldn't understand that. That's a James Rederitas joke right there.
Oh.
I would always vacation in the month of February, only because it's income tax time, and I end up getting like 12 grand back every income tax year. So we would always vacation in wintertime. And I thought, hey, why not? You know, we'll go south. Nobody else is vacationing because it's winter. Everybody else is still working. Everybody vacations like June to September. So we'll go in February. The kids have the week off. We'll go down. And James is like, oh, yeah, come on down. It's 68 and sunny. We get down there. It's like 44 degrees. It's like, I'm like, James, what the fuck? He's like, it's never like this.
You brought your cloud of charm and niceness down.
See, now that you said that, he's going to blame me. But no, it's always been a joke, 68 and sunny. It's always 68 and sunny in Charlotte, North Carolina. Except right now, it's probably like 98 and cloudy.
Probably.
Hot as hell. But yeah, that's what we're doing, man. I'm glad that it's 2 weeks after Josh's because that gives everybody in the Northeast plenty of time to recoup, skip the practice, and go to another tournament. You won't get hurt. And, Yeah, I'm hoping to put on a good show, man, because I tell you, like I told Dan, one of the reasons why I never wanted to do another tournament, and I had this conversation with James too, when we stopped, we went out on top. Everybody was copying us. Everybody was like, that was the best tournament ever, ever, ever. And you go out with that and you're never heard from again, you kind of stay there. Whether it's in your mind or whatever, you just stay there. So if I come back now and I have like 20 people show up, like happened in Rhode Island, I want to like shoot myself.
Right.
Because I'll be like, wow, I had the greatest thing ever, and I had to go one more time to the well.
Right.
What an idiot.
You're like Seinfeld if you want to do Seinfeld now.
Yeah. Like, it wouldn't
You're the
work.
Seinfeld of arm wrestling, Pete.
Yeah, because it wouldn't work. He doesn't. Yeah, have you seen Seinfeld? He
Who's
doesn't
your
even
Kramer,
look the
Pete?
same.
Who's your Kramer, Pete?
Oh, definitely James. Definitely James. No, maybe Chris Scrappa.
There you go.
Yeah,
he's more
Chris
like Kramer.
Scrappa would definitely be Kramer.
Shorter, but
James,
still.
James could almost be George.
Yeah. I can see that.
I'm sure he's going to be happy about that comment.
Yeah, he would say he's Seinfeld, though.
Yeah, well, no, actually, he's definitely 100% Larry David, the creator.
That is true. He's the
Yeah, he's definitely Larry David.
which was really George.
Well, yeah, which was really... So then I was right with my George. George from the show was different from real Larry David George.
Yeah,
Mhm.
true.
But whatever.
Whatever.
I mean,
Well, Pete, we're pretty excited to hear about that tournament, though. That should be cool.
I hope so, man.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No, but I hope it's good. I really do.
November 19th in Mohegan Sun.
Yeah.
Keep us posted, man. Keep us posted.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, oh my God! Last time I threw a tournament, I was able to put it up on the Northeast board, and I've looked at the Northeast board lately, and wow.
No,
Talk
it ain't
about
the
crickets.
same. Yeah, it ain't the same.
Holy cow! I've seen threads like, "Let's revive the Northeast board," and I'm like, "Revive what? This thing is dead."
Upcoming arm wrestling tournaments on Facebook. That's all you need.
Well, and that's why I figured I'd friend request, 900 people that hopefully I know.
Yeah.
But well, it was funny too because I'm like friend requesting people, and I'm like, I remember that name from the Northeast board. Add friend. I think I remember him from a tournament in Pennsylvania 10 years ago. Add friend. It was so like, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I was just like, wow. And then you look at some of my friends, like I go to like Timmy's page. I know he don't even know half these people.
No, it's
Because
Facebook.
he can't. Listen, Timmy can't even say those names. He'll probably spell their names right though, because he spells so bad. But I know he don't know them. I mean, he takes like random pictures with people, but he don't even know who he's taking a picture with. He's just like, and if it's a chick, he's like probably grabbing her ass behind the camera.
Oh, jeez, Pete.
Timmy, he's got to do these things.
So slanderous.
I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm just telling the truth. I always tell the truth.
All right, Pete. Well, we've been on for like an hour and 15 minutes.
That's it?
That's it.
Oh, my God. We're just getting warmed up.
Yeah, well.
You guys must be tired.
You told me.
75 minutes of pure paradise, dude. We'll do it again sometime.
Well, he's got the roughest sarcasm I've ever heard of. But I do.
I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot.
I have one question for you, Josh, and I've been dying to ask you this ever since I saw you last year. And this is I'm going to tell you just like I tell everybody else. I never mean any harm, but it's an actual question. Why are your eyes so dark? Do you not sleep?
I have no idea.
Yeah, because every time I could see you at the beginning of a tournament, and you look as dark as you do right now.
I
Like
don't know.
you've been up
I'll
for.
make sure I ask
7 years.
my doctor about that next time.
I was just curious. No, because I've
Thank
seen
you.
one other person like that, and they said it was some kind of like skin disease thing that they were born with. They even had it when they were a baby. So I was just curious, why do you always look so tired? I mean, it makes you look so old. I know you're not old. It makes you look so old, though. You make me feel young just looking at you.
That's cool,
See,
man. I'll make
he
sure I
doesn't take
will.
he doesn't take it, John. See, that's the problem. He doesn't take it.
I don't
I
take
can't get
what?
a read of him. Sarcasm, joking, poking fun.
Oh, this is kind of a
Well,
weird direction now.
it's like I would say that it takes a lot more to I don't know, get my dander up than that. So if you want to get me pissed off, you're gonna have to do some research, come up with some really good
No,
jokes, come
I'm
back
dead
and like
serious.
throw some
No, I would
spears.
never try and get you pissed off. I'm just trying to figure out why you look like that. That's all. I was just curious because my girlfriend has the same problem too. She always looks tired, but I know she's always tired. I was
No.
just curious if you ever sleep. Me trying to.
You know what?
extend
I'm gonna leave this camera on, and then people can watch me sleep tonight live, and then that'll answer the question about whether I sleep or not. We can do a whole sleep study thing for like the next couple weeks, and if my eyes are still dark at the end, then we can, maybe we can like just bring me right into the emergency room and like put me on an IV or something. Or I could maybe I'll just go down to Sephora and like say, hey guys, can you help me out with this eye thing? Give me some like maybe some light complexion under here, maybe some I don't know, what do you call it, rouge, something like that. That might do the trick, you know. And then I'll highlight my green eyes too. So that might be actually a pretty good tip, Peter. I gotta thank you for that one, man.
No, you can't thank me for that.
Right. Anyway, man, this has been something. I gotta give you that one.
It's getting late. That's what it is.
Yeah. All right, brother.
Oh, man. Well, thank you guys for having me on the show. Like I said, I really enjoyed your tournament. I'm gonna be there too. Your next one. I already booked the day off. I'm taking the day off just to come up to your tournament, which is I got yelled at already for it because I got to take 2 Saturdays off, pretty much back to back. But yeah, I love that tournament you had. I'm definitely coming up to that one. Hopefully, people come out to this one that we're trying to just trying to put a different spark into this sport. Try at least.
Awesome.
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe
Sounds
we'll
good.
fall flat in our face, and I get to go back into oblivion. Maybe.
Can't hurt that bad, right?
It'll sting. I'll cry.
Yeah, well. All right, Pete.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
Adios.
See ya, brah.
All right. Go get some sleep.
So I was thinking about we were talking about with Tim and Trubin,
Yes, sir.
and I was thinking, I would rather see Tim and Siplenkov, to be honest with you, because
Styles?
yeah, exactly. Because I feel like Trubin does a lot of crazy stuff, and he's gonna pull weird angles out and everything. But I would like to just see some straight up horsepower between Siplenkov and Bresnan. That's the match I would like to see. I know they're trying to do these eliminations to see who goes up against Pushkar next time, and that's what I would do. Because I think, everybody wants to see Siplenkov and Pushkar again, but I think it'd be, Tim has kicked everybody's asses, and I think, some people say, oh, that's because they're giving him, but, they're not giving him easy people. These are like world-class, huge, awesome people.
Nobody gave Timmy Vovoda because they thought it'd be an easy
Exactly.
match.
Exactly.
And I think
that's what you say to people. It's like, well, why they give him Boveda? And he crushed him. So I say let him go up against Siplenkov. The winner takes on Pushkar. That's how I would do it.
I think that's an interesting thought because I think Dennis also, his body's, his arm length, all that stuff matches up very well with Tim as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think Timmy has a smaller hand and a shorter arm for a heavyweight. Now, it's obviously his hand is incredibly strong, but Trubin has that super long arm, bigger hand too, which usually when you have a disparity in sizes like that, usually it's one way or another. Whereas somebody like Timmy and Dennis, somebody could have success early on, and it could change, because there could be a big either one of them can make a big adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas sometimes when it's the other way around, whoever's going to win is going to win. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think Timmy and Dennis. I think that'd be a fantastic match, and it definitely wouldn't be. I think it would be hard on both of them because Dennis definitely isn't the same guy as he used to be. He doesn't just do this anymore. He has a lot more tools. So yeah, I think it'd be definitely interesting. They pulled an 08 in Zloty, and Timmy took his hand. He was the first guy to ever take his hand. But I mean, I know Timmy in 08 and now is not even the same world, and neither is Dennis, to be fair. So yeah, definitely, I think that's a big good match. And he does deserve it. He does deserve it. He's earned it.
That's what I think. I mean, he's got a streak of pretty convincing victories going. It's like, all right, give the guy a shot at the title. You know what I mean? So maybe you can't just give him Pushkar right now. Although I think an argument could be made for that too. I mean, basically, I think if Tim wants to go up against Pushkar, let him do it. If he wants to go up against Siplenkov, let him do it and see what happens.
I think there has to be something said too about the guys who always show up with no excuses. They always show up. And Pushkar and Timmy are both those guys. Pushkar always shows up, man. Yeah. He shows up and takes not even an ass whipping. I won't say that, but he'll show up and take a couple lumps, like when he showed up to Zloty, and he said, "Man, I'm hurt, but I'm going to pull anyway." And then Truman gives him a good match in the overall, and people go, "Oh, fuck that, he wasn't hurt," and all that, But that dude has always shown up. He's never made excuses. He shows up even when he thinks he's going to lose. He shows up. The guy deserves where he is because of his consistency too, and Tim is no different. They call Tim up and say, "You're pulling at this time." He shows up and he pulls every time.
Right.
There's very, very few times I don't even know if there's one time where I can think where Tim hasn't shown up when they've asked him to. So you have to respect too that consistency in that if you make a match with this guy, he is gonna be there. You don't have to worry about the match changing. You don't have to worry about him backing out, because that might be something that guys who aren't promoters or aren't involved with any kind of promoting don't understand how often that happens.
Yeah,
where you have a match card lined up and 3 of them drop out.
Yeah, he's like the Donald Cowboy Cerrone of arm wrestling. If he says he's going to be there, he's going to be there, and he's always going to put on a good show. And he's a good sport too. I mean, I actually agree with Peter about what he was saying about Marcio. I feel like that match would have gone a lot. Well, I'm not going to say he would have beaten him. I don't know how strong Marcio is right now, but I mean, I think it would have been a different match had it happened prior to Vendetta instead of after. Because I do think it takes Tim longer to recover, and that's natural. Being over 50 and being a 300-pounder, I mean, that's no joke. So
yeah, and I think because we actually said this on the show with Tim. I told him that, in my opinion, being around him during when he got sick and seeing him recover through those 2 years, I really believe when you're dealing with brain trauma too, it just takes longer. Everything takes longer. It because he would come back to practice and he wouldn't be the same for quite a while. And not to say he wouldn't work and he wouldn't train, but the difference was noticeable. He would get tired quicker. He'd make a lot of comments like, just been, haven't been in the gym because I just been just dizzy and all that kind of stuff. Just the stuff that, he said on the show. And, this was the guy who would go to Zloty, take super matches, back to back to back to back. He'd be very active all year long. And I remember having the conversation with him like, dude, you might want to pick like a couple big ones a year, 3 big ones a year. So you can train, do your thing, and coast for a little while until you start building back up, 1 every 4 months or so. And I think that's I wouldn't be any different, I don't think, but true to Timmy, I think he wants to do more than that. So if there's that risk of like my performance isn't going to be the best, maybe there's a chance, or guaranteed that it's good, I think he wants to get in there. So he's going to risk it, which really just shows you, again, going back to this guy will always show up. This guy will always do his job. It kind of goes back to that. Like, even if he's not...
He loves the sport.
Yeah, he loves it all. He loves the sport. He loves competing. He loves, showing the fruits of his labor. He's worked hard. And he wants to prove it.
And it's, it's something to be respected. There's a lot of guys that won't do that. And there's people that won't pull this person because, reason X, reason Y, and everybody wants to see it and we can't see it just because they don't feel like it. And it's annoying, so it's, when someone is willing to take on anybody, I always respect that, because, like, we talked about a little bit tonight. I mean, there's money in the sport now, but it's not a lot of money and it's not a lot of opportunities. It's like once or twice a year. So you can't use that as an excuse, because most of the time you're still going to be pulling people for free. And you should want to know, can I beat this fucking guy or not?
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. Am I number one, or am I just number one on this show? So that's like the match is like, okay, let's see Travis in the goddamn push car. Let's see Cyplenkov and Chafee again, when Chafee heals. And, forget about all this contract bullcrap in television. Don't televise the thing. Let's just have the match, Fly these friggin' guys over here, and let's do the matches. Let's do Travis and Pushkar left-handed for best in the world, And we can do that. And one of us can film it on our freaking cell phone and put it up on Facebook, and I don't think that counts as being televised. Let's see what happens. I mean, I would love to see that match, man. And everybody says, oh, well, Travis does this and Pushkar does something similar, and they're going to end up going to straps every time. So what?
Yeah,
I want to see it.
Exactly.
I don't care what happens. I don't care if they slip and go to straps every time, and Travis has got the thing down, and Pushkar's got his fucking thing down, too. So let's get them both up there and see what happens.
Yeah, and I mean, that's really, that kind of brings it back to what arm wrestling is, right? Arm wrestling, like, it's a sport, obviously, but really, let's be honest. There's two guys up there. Arm wrestling's a fight in some way. I mean, and that's why we get into this thing. Like, I don't know about you, but I want to go and try and pull some guy that I don't know if I can beat or not. Like, isn't that the whole point of this? Like, it's not that it's like, hey, I'll take a match with that guy because I know I can win. No, you want to take a match with a guy who can beat you if he puts you in where he wants, or if things go just slightly wrong, or really that guy should beat me. Like, that's even more exciting, because if you can kind of bring something else, which is really what the spirit of this whole thing is, of battle and competition and a fight.
It's another reason I like, Tom Nelson. I remember on the Game of Arms show we were talking about earlier when Travis said, oh, this is like round 38 between me and Tom Nelson. He just keeps coming back. And he's like, okay, Travis smacks him around again, but so what? He's going to be back. He's going to be back over and over and over again, and eventually he's going to win. Like, he finally beat John Brzezinski lefty. He didn't beat him righty yet, but he beat him lefty. It was a major thing for him, because he's been trying to do it for decades, and he finally did it. He's like, the proverbial junkyard dog, and that's something that I respect in general. Last night, friggin' training with those guys, I mean, RVJ, Oren, and Eric are all smacking me around the whole night. You know what I mean? It's very humbling. Yeah. But I know if I keep going, then some of these other cats that are in the top 10, they're going to be surprised when they arm wrestle, and maybe I'll take a couple of them out, So you have to be willing to go in there and get turned into mincemeat over and over and over again, and not let it bother you. And just keep fighting.
Well, to be honest with you, like, that's how it should be when you're at the top. I've told people plenty of times, like, Tim could go to a practice for a year, practice every week for a year and never lose a match if he felt like it. Right. If he felt like doing that, he could do it. But he doesn't. He goes to practice every week and he gets his ass whipped. He goes to practice every week and loses to me in a practice on TV. Yeah. Like, he tried to beat me. That's how. That's the point to where Tim trains, where I can beat him. So, and he does that because he knows that there's Pushkars out there, there's Dennis's, there's all these guys. There's that kid he pulled in Vegas. He might have beat him 6-0, but that kid was coming for him, and he still is going to be coming for him. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, there was this whole, the idea that this is a fight game, this is a combat sport. It's supposed to be that we're all a little afraid, and that fear kind of makes us better. And when you take that out and you make it a very non-risky sport for yourself, I'm confused as to why you're doing it. Like, what was that your whole plan the whole time? Like, how did you get to where you are if that's where your mind is at? That's where I don't understand. Even that practices, you see guys sometimes, they'll get up and they'll be pretty dominant. They're strong dudes. And as soon as the match gets hard, not even that they lose, but the match gets hard, they want to get off the table.
Well, it's a phenomenon, man. It's not unique to our sport. I mean, you look at someone who does arm wrestles however many years, they get into a national championship here, of which we have 3, and then they win a title, and then they quit, and they can say the rest of their life they're a national champion. Or someone who studies martial arts for 2-3 years, gets their black belt, and then quits, and then they can say they're a black belt the rest of their life because they're in search of something. And if it's like consensus number 1, okay, I achieved it, now I'm going to dodge. Or come up with different excuses that people have. And I personally don't buy this contract one. And I'm not talking about anybody in specific. So I don't mean Travis or Dave or Tony or anybody. I mean, I feel like all those guys would take the match if it was offered to them. But I just don't like the idea that we can say, okay, WAL is it. If you win that, you're the best in the world. You're not the best in the world. There's a lot of countries that you have to go to and smack those guys around before you can say it. And I mean, Peter's idea about, the November 19th tournament and having, big super matches. And, I mean, we're talking about guys, Voveda's posting that he's got this freaking Mercedes-Benz and stuff like that. So if this guy has $5,000, he could fly himself over here and say, I want to take on whomever. And Pushkar could do the same thing. He could come over here and say, Travis, you and me at this, Ohio State Championships or whatever, and find out. And Travis could do the same thing. And I would like to see more of that. And forget about WAL, PAL, all that kind of stuff. I would just like to see, if these matches that we all want to see aren't happening, that the guys talk to each other and make it happen. Because there is no contract that says they can't do that. The only thing that they're restricted about is television. And none of that stuff's going to be on TV anyway. So
right. Really, when you start splitting up arm wrestling into, these subcategories, which is really what the contracts are doing, quote unquote anyway. It's almost the sport is too small of a group. It's kind of like what we're talking about with you have so many grassroots tournaments, but there's really no more arm wrestlers. So you get smaller numbers. You have more tournaments, but you get smaller numbers. It's a similar thing. So yeah, you want to see, the best in the world versus the best in the world. At their, who thinks they are, right? And of course, there's going to be a group of 5 people who think on any given day, I'm the best on the planet. And you want to see those guys bang it out. So that's really, it's not even about contracts or whatever. You're just talking about the sport in general. You want to see the best arm wrestler, period. Not the best WAL, not the best PAL, not the best USAA. None of these guys. You want to see the best arm wrestler on the planet. Mm-hmm. And for a while we had a clear-cut definition of who that was. That was the cool thing. Yep. For decades we did. And now we're not sure.
No, we're not sure, and that's part of the negative side of getting a big money tournament going on, a big money league that's on ESPN, because then you have contracts, and that does fuck everything up in terms of clarity. But it is what it is. I mean, there is a way around that, because these guys, their contract that they're on is not like an NBA player who cannot play basketball with anybody unless it's approved by his team or the NBA or what have you. We still have a situation that's relatively fluid. Handling Yoshi, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and
there's guys in Russia right now that could easily pay to bring Travis or Chafee or Tony or Todd Hutchings or whomever, and I hope it happens, man, because I would love to talk about that on this show when we know for sure who's number 1 in each weight class. I mean, even the 98s, man. I mean, Prudnik, Rustam. Hermes Gasparini, you get all these guys that we don't ever see over here. Spartak, yes, both Solos. We don't get to see them over here, and everybody outside of North America views this group of 5 or 6 guys as, among the very best. Maybe they put in Todd Hutchings or, Storm or Nicholas Nanisat or whomever, but whatever. We have all these people. It's how awesome would it be to do a 200-pound eliminator of the 10 best guys all meet in Greece or what have you, and do a tournament. The winner takes home $2,000 or whatever, but the point is they all fight it out and see who's the best. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, that's the difficult thing about tournaments too, right? Is that it's a tournament, so there's always going to be, the endurance factor, this guy should have had a shorter match than he did factor, so it affected him later. Mm-hmm. That's where it's tough too, right?
True. That's true.
That's where it always is tough, though. I mean, UFC went through that.
I'd take it, though. I would take it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got to start somewhere. And I think
the UFC, people always talk about the first 2. They had the tournament format where they had to have 3 fights in one night. Those are the ones that everybody still loves,
Yeah, no, totally. I get you. Yeah, it's tough when you want, who's the best. That's when it's tough. Because we still categorize it, right? People go, yeah, he's the best tournament arm wrestler of all time. That guy's the best super match puller of all time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We even have the division there. Not even with just technique. Not even with just who's the best hooker, who's the best top roller, who's the best this. We have it with who's the best tournament arm wrestler and who's the best super match guy. And really,
you got to do both. You got to do both.
And the thing is, I was just gonna say, the guy who was the best on the planet, no argument for 20 years.
Yeah.
Everybody considered him to be the best at both.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells you something too.
It can be done.
Fuck yeah. But I think I think we're in the stages of I think we're in the hurting, growing pain stages of trying to make it work. And that might be a good thing that it kind of it's tough right now and it's frustrating because we don't know. That might be a good thing. So, in 2 years from now we might have, and who knows if it's the WAL, it very well could be. We could have a league where everybody agrees, like, no, this is the place we should be right here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep, I do know what you mean. We got a lot to talk about in the next few weeks, John. We should do a little bit more of this instead of always having these guests. We should just be like selfish and be like arm wrestling brainiacs up here until people, make it clear how stupid we are.
All right. Well, before you go, you want to answer a question we had from?
Yeah, let's answer a question.
Because I did a video on it about just like your training methods and your training structure.
Yeah.
What's your idea on that?
Well, my idea on it is it's a mixture of what you do and what Well, I like to pull twice a week, so I pull every either Wednesday or Thursday, and then I'll pull a Sunday, and I'll pull for about 2 hours each of those days. The other days I will lift heavy twice, and I'll do biceps one day, and then I'll do forearms another day, and I'll do as heavy as I can go. The days in between those two, I generally go rock climbing, for hand strength, or I do recovery light weight work. And then I will typically do one day where I do either nothing or bands. So I pull twice a week, I lift heavy twice a week, I climb twice a week. That's 6 days. And then the 7th day is like recovery stuff. That's what I've been doing for a while now. And, so like the weights are definitely going up little by little in terms of, the amount that I can do. And my arm wrestling endurance has suffered a little bit, to be honest with you, from when I was pulling 4 times a week. I don't have the same endurance I did when I was only pulling, but I'm definitely getting stronger. So I'm gonna see how that goes in the worlds and see what kind of difference it makes. And then I may readjust again. I mean, I was very impressed by Devin. And, he might not be able to flash people, but the fact that he can just sit there and drain everybody and hold them and wear them out, that's just incredible to me. I don't like how, he goes to straps every match. I would like to see him just sit in there and, he's fucking strong, man. I would just like to sit there and hold people and, forget the straps, just go back to real deal arm wrestling. But he's incredible, and we were talking to, we talked to Jody last week, and it's just, his work ethic is second to none. And that, sure. So I don't know. My point is, I may go back to pulling more after Worlds. We'll see what happens there.
Well, I think it's good to have those, those valleys, those up and downs of, strictly based on power, strictly based on table, and kind of go back and forth. Maybe that's what it takes. Maybe to kind of raise one, you got to raise the other, raise one. I know when I used to have new strengths, my endurance would suffer. I would have less endurance in those new strengths, but after a while, it would come back to where it was before. But you also forgot to add, how many miles on average do you run a week?
Well, I alternate weeks. 1 week I'll do like 30, the next week I'll do 60 or so. So I run a lot. Yes,
okay, so
I run a lot.
That's important to say too. That's something that most of us aren't doing, but.
Yeah, it's good for your heart rate. It's good for your cardiovascular stuff. So, I really think it's incredible for circulation in general.
Right.
So it should, you follow that thought through, it should help with the pump after long matches because your circulatory system is stronger and resilient, which, running is proven to, enlarge your capillaries and your ventricles. So that makes a big difference in reducing the pump you have after arm wrestling. And plus, having a strong heart is very important when you're getting into the high beats per minute threshold that we do when we're pulling in a hard match.
For sure.
But on the other hand, you definitely use up muscle mass when you're running a lot. So that's something else to consider.
All right. Well, I think we did it, Josh. It's been a long one.
Yeah, it's been a long one.
For
sure. 148. That might be the longest show ever.
Yeah, it's pretty long.
Marathon.
Yep. So
next week, Marcio Barboza. Yep.
Marcio Barboza. So that should be fun. I haven't talked to Marcio in a while.
Awesome.
All right, fellers. Good night.
Till next time.
Until next time.